Raila would have wanted more. Raila would have himself insisted that his critics have an opportunity to say what they had to say during his burial. But when it comes...
Tony GACHOKA has decided to leave the lead and tell the truth that the most important thing that had to happen is that Raila Odinga had to die.
I have to say first will be a bit controversial, because I believe that the Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga had to die for Kenya to know that Raila Odinga was Raila Odinga. And I'll repeat myself. It is a tragedy that the Honorable Right Honorable Raila Odinga had to die for this country to know really who Raila Odinga was. In fact, in a very ironic way, I feel his death is his greatest achievement, because in it, he made everybody stop. He made everybody stop and look at themselves. He became, in my view, the Kenyan line of defense towards political integrity and political character.
So that people can actually know him. Now people are suddenly realizing that Raila Odinga was indeed a statesman. Now allow me to take you to a statement that was shared by Ruth Odinga, the sister to Raila Odinga.
To say something. You are the same people, especially you as a Gen Z, who's telling me about the outpouring of love when he's dead. How about when he had not died and he was well, and you were saying that akufe? He died only knowing you people telling him that you prefer him dead. It is only us who are now seeing the outpouring. But how about Baba? He would have loved you people to have more love. So I say, for those who said those things when he was still alive, it was really wrong. But for those who have shown their love right now, hamukujua, the reality would be this. But the loss is for Kenya. When I laid him down and I stopped the machines, I said Kenya has lost. Kenya is lost. I don't know where it's going without Raila.
That is what Ruth Odinga issued as a response when he was confronted on the issue. And he said the Gen Zs wanted Raila Odinga dead. I was trying to say that that is actually what they wanted. Maybe it was just, these are just political statements which were always delivered. It was about someone had to take a side. But if you look at the mood of the country ever since Raila was pronounced dead, ever since he was pronounced dead, you wouldn't say that actually that is what the Gen Zs wanted. The Gen Zs only made political statements, comments. Okay, there was some of the comments were reckless, but the reason why they constantly made those statements is that they were misinformed. Now, allow me to take you to a position that was shared by Kalonzo Musyoka. And Kalonzo, he said something that Kenyans had not known. That at one particular time, Ruto was confronted with two scenarios. The first scenario was that he was to hand over the government to the military. The second scenario was to team up with Raila Odinga and continue with civil leadership. So in Kalonzo's statement, Kalonzo told us, and there's a video that has been shared on that Gideon Moi advocated for a military solution, that Ruto apeane mamlaka kwa military. Of course, that is not something that Raila Odinga bought, considering that if that is to be done, it means the constitution will be suspended. There will be several curfews, those ones will be implemented. The freedom that we are experiencing will be no more, because it will be a military rule. And what's going to happen then, what was going to happen is that after some period of time, they would announce election. Remember, the military are in power, then they announce election. They are the ones who are going to win that election. It will be the beginning of military rule. Now, if that was to happen, it would mean that Kenya itakuwa imerudi nyuma steps nyingi sana. So Raila declined. Now, Raila looked at the scenario, akasema hata kama Ruto ni aibu yangu, but the only option left is just to team up with him to continue with civil leadership, alafu 2027 kura kama itapigwa imtoe basi. And that is exactly what Raila Odinga said, and it was confirmed by Kalonzo Musyoka. And that's the main reason we find that Kalonzo used not to attack Raila Odinga. Even when people like GACHOKA, other leaders would attack Raila alikuwa shambuliwi na Kalonzo. That is why it was very much possible for Kalonzo and Raila to team up again. It was very much possible because no political enemies, you know. So when Tony GACHOKA tells us that Raila had to die, Tony GACHOKA is passing a message, because Raila had to die so that people would know the truth about what could have taken place during the Gen Z protest. Now people know that Gideon is the one who supported that move of handing over to the military. Now people realize that that is what is happening, but people are afraid because the broad base has already been extended to Gideon Moi. What does that mean? It means the advices that are going to come from Gideon Moi now, rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, zitakuwa militarily, zitakuwa kimilitary. Raila's political mindset revolves around civil leadership, but Gideon Moi's ni military. So I think you now look at the difference. Now you listen, who would you have followed if you are in the shoe of William Ruto and you're confronted with the reality of military ama civil? Civil ni Raila, military ni Gideon. So ungeenda kwa ipi? Right now Ruto has teamed up with Gideon. That should scare people, ladies and gentlemen. Raila is no more. So that's why I agree with Tony GACHOKA when he says Raila had to die for people to know certain things, for people to know the truth about him. He had to die, ladies and gentlemen. So allow me to raise my case there, but just go below in the comment section and tell us what to think about Tony GACHOKA's statement. Raila had to die. Perhaps if you're watching this video and you don't subscribe, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.
And before the death of Raila Odinga, the biggest symbol as Kenya we had before was independence. And I think that in the last few weeks, what has come from people from all walks of life, from all political creed, has been to what extent has Raila Odinga been a legend and why? And then comes the question that you ask about his capacity to reach out. That in life, people who are his critics would say he was trying to achieve for himself, he was trying to better his stake for his party or his family or himself. But in death, when people look at it dispassionately, they begin to say, hold on, there was a philosophy, there was a thinking, there was a Kenya First, a philosophical agenda by Raila in the moves that he made. Now, let us critically look at the so-called Raila alliances. And the first one would have been when he had been detained by retired president and late President Daniel Moi. 8 years of incarceration, away from his family, as you heard from Koiwa Mwere and other writers, the injuries that he obtained, physical, including his eyes, his back, and so forth. And then after those 8 years, he rejoined the political system in Kenya, competed in politics, and later joined KANU, where he became the Secretary General of the Kenya African Union. And by joining Moi, he was actually joining his jailer. He was actually making political pact with somebody who had actually incarcerated him and denied him much of his family's young life. From that point on, Right Honorable Raila Odinga was to face another controversial election in 2007, which led to the tribal clashes, including many Kenyans being charged with the ICC for crimes against humanity. And that became an ungovernable situation, requiring international attention, both at the ICC and here in Kenya for mediation. Raila Odinga subjected himself to the mediation of Kofi Annan and Mwai Kibaki, and that itself resulted in a government of national unity that formed the office of the Prime Minister, being the second time since the independence of Kenya. The office of Prime Minister was formed with two deputies who are then Uhuru Kenyatta and Musalia Mudavadi, and that went ahead to achieve the 2010 constitution, another issue of compromise. After that, following elections came, and Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga had another tiff. And again, Raila Odinga made a political pact with Uhuru, and there was a handshake that saw the Uhuru government complete its term. And before he died, Uhuru Kenyatta's coalition was not the last. He sat down with Obasanjo of Nigeria and William Ruto in Mombasa, and they discussed that the country was not going in the right direction. And Obasanjo was to say during the funeral that he's very happy that Ruto listened to him, because that funeral would not have happened had Raila not sat down with Ruto to form the broad-based government. Now, I'm saying these things because when Raila was alive, in the words of his sister Ruth Odinga, a lot of Kenyans, particularly the young Kenyans, condemned and wished Raila dead. And in fact, they blamed him for giving away the Gen Z victory to Ruto, and therefore that Ruto would have actually been removed by the military or otherwise had Raila Odinga not intervened. But in the tributes and in the celebration that followed the burial of Raila Odinga, the tone and the character of the Kenyan nation stopped and changed. It became accolade after accolade after accolade for having achieved to stabilize the country and having left the country with a philosophy of having to rethink how alliances are made. I'm saying this because it was quite politicized who attended and who did not attend the burial ceremony of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. There was a complaint. The members of the opposition who attended the burial were not given the same kind of opportunity to say their part as was the government side. It was also quite poignant to me that Rigathi Gachagua, one of the prominent leaders of the opposition, did not show at all in any of the ceremonies.
What do you think about those two things? Number one, of course, I think members of the opposition, you speak